it was a complete performance, verbally, physically. His dialogue is just so quick paced. He's just spewing out words and difficult words, and he's just with it, and he does fantastic with all that. So
execution scheduled for 11 p.m. But he's trying to convince us he's gone insane.
And therefore incapable of being executed.
I need you to prove he's faking it.
Edward, I'm gonna ask you some questions.
all right, so this one is going to be potentially polarizing. People feel passionately about this film. I've heard a lot about it on my YouTube page after I did my interviews with Jordan Belfi and Sean Patrick Flannery in regards to Nefarious, a film that's generating a lot of reaction from people. So what was my take on Nefarious? Did I like it? Should you go see it? Should you skip it? We're going to take a look at Nefarious. Okay, so Nefarious, what's it about? It's about a prisoner on death row who gets a psychiatric evaluation prior to his execution, right? The evaluation will kind of determine if he is going to get the electric chair or lethal injection, or he just will rot in prison for the rest of his life. It's basically the psychologist here is trying to figure out if this person is being truthful and aware of what he's done, or if he's just psychotic. And there's a middle ground here. Is he demonic? And that's the question. So Sean Patrick Flannery plays the prisoner, Edward, here in the film. And Jordan Belfi is the psychologist here. And it's mano a mano. They're face-to-face for majority of film at a desk. Talk about a verbal jousting of conversation and theories and theology. It's intense and back and forth in that way. So it's pretty much a two-man show, really. It feels like a play too. But the big question here is this person demonic? Is he crazy? Or is he messing with the psychologist? So this is what Dr. James here, Martin, played by Jordan Belfi, has to uncover. So yeah, that's what we get plot-wise. Now, let's get into it. About the movie, likes, dislikes, acting. I'm going to start out with the acting. The acting is phenomenal. It really is good acting. Sean Patrick Flannery, this is the best performance I've ever seen him do. He is phenomenal. It's Hannibal Lecter-like. He really delves into this character, and watching it, you don't know if he's psychotic, he is possessed maybe, or he's just messing with all of us viewers too. And not only James Martin here, he just does a phenomenal job with everything. Like, his facials are phenomenal. He has a lot of these tics, body tics, looks, the way he just moves, gestures, it's all really on point. And it makes you wonder what is going on with this individual. So Sean Patrick Flannery, phenomenal job acting here. I thought he really gave it his all. And not to plug my interview, but I'm plugging it. He spoke more about his process for that, and you might be surprised about it. But I'm giving him high marks. I thought it was a complete performance, verbally, physically. His dialogue is just so quick paced. He's just spewing out words and difficult words, and he's just with it, and he does fantastic with all that. So high marks for Sean Patrick Flannery. Not to be further removed is Jordan Belfi here, because he equally gives a very good performance is just the opposite of Sean's. Jordan's a lot more composed, mellowed out, slower paced. It's a great, really kind of reflective performance. You know, one actor's giving a whole different take, but the other one's got to listen and take it in and give his version out. So it's really interesting parallel here between how they approach it. Completely different, but it works because the tension is really razor thin here. You can cut it with a needle because it's so tension packed throughout, and it's thanks to these guys incredible performance. Chuck and Carrie, the directors, writers, directors for this film, they're known from a lot of Christian films, so this is kind of their genre. The God's Not Dead series, Unplanned is another movie they did. So a lot of their films have the message of, they're sort of Christian films, the message of religion and spirituality and faith. So this one doesn't seem to be one of those films, right, on the surface, because it's got a horror sense to it. I mean, the action takes place in a prison cell, pretty much the entirety of it is in this jail, and in this room. So it's face to face. It's really a two-man show between Sean and Jordan here. And here's the thing about the movie. The previews and the trailers make you believe it's completely different than what it is. The trailers would suggest as a horror movie, a horror thriller, you know, a demonic possession. So another demon movie. It is absolutely not that movie at all. It does have a lot of the elements that Chuck and Carrie are known for, the Christianity, the religion, the faith. It's that sort of movie. It's not really a horror. The previews are so misleading to this film. So when you see it, it's a completely different film than you expect. You're expecting a horror, and even the posters are freaky looking, but the movie's not that. It's really about society and good versus evil, and a lot of kind of messages about what we do. And the big theme also is between these two characters, that Nefarious, who is, you know, Sean Patrick Flannery's character, claims that James Martin is going to commit 3 murders today. And the way he goes about it is kind of freaky. It's not a scary movie. It just got some chilling elements to it. It's not a horror. It's not gory. No swear words. There's no bad, you know, foul dialogue in here, because it's sort of a religious film. So that would sometimes require better writing, more eloquent writing, right? And the writing is challenging for the actors, I'd imagine, but they pull off so well because of just the amount of the volume of the dialogue, especially Sean Patrick Flannery's character. And Jordan Belfi too, the back and forth. I mean, these guys are just loaded with dialogue, and the way Sean Patrick projects it with this quick pace, and it's almost like he's giving this like fast-paced monologue constantly. It's almost exhausting to watch him do it. I felt bad for all the lines he had to do, but it's credit to his work and what he did there. So this is not a horror. This is not demons walking on walls or puking. This is not the genre you're thinking here. If you're thinking Exorcist, this is far from it. We don't know if this is a demon. This guy's possessed, or is he kind of crazy? And that's kind of the story. But he, what he talks about, there's definitely messages and these conversations they're having about morality, theology, you know, the morality of us as humans, really an exploration as humans, us having the good and evil in us. That's really what the film is about. It's about taking the messages away of how evil is tempting and is pretty much around us. It's got an interesting ending there too. I'll let you see it. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, it sort of answers the questions of believing, right? It's a film about, do you believe? Do you believe in good and evil being real? And I think the characters have a come to me moment here in an interesting way. When you're watching, it's somewhat predictable how it's going to end, but they added some layers to it also, you know, what you get in the ending of it. So it wasn't the most like shocking or unpredictable in any way like that. No, if you follow the movie, you see where it's going in that sort of sense. Now, what did I not completely enjoy? You know, it's just over an hour and a half, so it's not that long or anything, but as good as the performances are and the conversation here, it's sort of interesting themes and topics being discussed, it becomes redundant and boring. I think them being in that one room, there's just lack of action. It feels like a play, definitely a theatrical play, and by no fault of performances, but there needs to be a little bit more action. And we're conditioned to watch movies with things constantly happening, and you don't need it in a movie like this, but it does get redundant and boring. I mean, just seeing two people for an hour 20, you know, just talking back and forth does get sort of exhausting, and you lose your attention span. I found myself kind of getting distracted, and after a while, it would have been better if they added maybe different locations, just change things up, because the redundancy does become sort of I guess the word would be boring or exhausting at some point, you know. You just need your attention span to be kept in check. And I know the conversation's supposed to do that, but we need more. It's a movie after all, right? So I just thought that kind of held it down. The inability to add more action, and not in an action source, not that sort of movie, just switching up scenes, switching up locations, kind of adding some elements to this besides just this straight up conversation and this desk, you know, that we're seeing constantly. It just gets redundant after a while. So that was sort of my knock on the movie in that essence. And did I find it to be preachy? Slightly. Usually movies of that sort of are, but it wasn't entirely in that way. It wasn't like your kind of Christian movie that you're, you know, thinking you're just going to get a message and, you know, embedded in you. But this one kind of explores questions. So I appreciate it for that. Overall, was I disappointed that it wasn't what the trailers? A little bit, because you have a different expectations if you've seen the trailer of this movie. This is a horror thriller, and this is a hardcore drama, really, with some horror elements maybe to it, because people are scary. They're scarier than monsters and ghouls and goblins and all these sort of things. It's people who are the scariest, and the psyche is what's scariest. So, and you know, possession potentially, you know, the belief in evil is scary. So that's the kind of chilling elements of this film, but otherwise, it could have used an injection, no pun intended, of some energy and excitement and action, maybe, and just change up. But yeah, that's my review of Nefarious. I think a lot of people will see it based on subject matter. If you haven't seen the previews, probably don't check them out. It probably a better, you have a different expectation than, you don't have actually an expectation going into it. So those of you who saw the trailer in theaters and might think it's like a horror movie and you're seeing completely different, might be disappointed by that. So might take away from the movie experience. So I wouldn't see the trailer. I would just go and check it out, right? And you know, appreciate it for whatever you may appreciate it for. In my instance, it was definitely the acting that definitely stood out. So that's my review of Nefarious. We're going to give some scores for it because we all like scores and thing. For acting, out of 10, I gave it 9 out of 10. Like I said, it's really high quality acting. Sean Patrick Flanery is ridiculously good in this role. Jordan Belfi equally holds his ground. So really good. High marks, 9 out of 10. Entertainment, that's where it falters because it wasn't that entertaining. It's more of a message movie and questioning and thinking about things, right? So the entertainment factor, like I said, I got bored many times, lost my attention span for it. So I give it a 5.5 out of 10. Then story and plot, well, it's interesting, the story and the plot and what's taking place here. Not much happens in this plot besides these conversations. So leads me to give it a 6 out of 10. The impression that this movie made, it makes you think, sure, it definitely leaves some sort of impression about good and evil and reflection of what we do in our lives and the choices we make. So I give it a 7 out of 10. And then creativity, was it creative? They did a creative trailer here to misguide us, but creativity as far as the thematic element of the film, and they did the probably non-cliche maybe thing about a concept like this. So I like that it wasn't your typical demon movie, so they made it to something else. They made it into like a conversation starter and reflective thing, a point of view. So I give it a 7.5 out of 10 for creativity because there was some creative elements to not make it a run-of-the-mill sort of movie of the genre. So overall, that gives us mix it all up, those scores, and it comes out to a 70%. So 70 out of 100, which is a solid movie. We're checking out. I think it's better if you don't have expectations for it. So take it as is, and 70% it is. So make sure you subscribe to Real Talkers. So click that subscribe button. That helps out a lot in keeping these interviews going, and just subscriptions matter if you're on my end here. So just taking a second to click that button helps out a lot. Also, feel free to follow me on social media at the Jim Alexander on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and also at the Real Talker or the Real Talker on the same platform. So if you like this review, give it a thumbs up. That always helps too. And make sure to comment if you've seen the movie. I've seen tons of comments from my interviews with the 2-star actors of this film. Comment on this review. I want to hear more of your thoughts on what you think of the movie. Did it exceed your expectations? Did it not? A lot of people drove out from faraway places because it's a limited viewing of it. It's in limited theaters. So let me know if you've seen it and your thoughts on it. I'm curious to know because this movie is getting a reaction from people, which is a good thing because that's what movies should do, right? So let me know what you thought. In the meantime, that's it for today, and stay tuned for more Real Talker and subscribe so you can get those notifications on more new reviews. Until then, I'm out.